into looking into your top of the funnel leads coming into for your organization, right? Cold calls, cold email addresses that you got. Uses the same content to send email out using MailChimp, which is another service, right? To schedule mail. Hey, every Monday we should be sending out a cold email outreach with this latest Google trend that everybody's searching. Maybe it's an AI agent. Maybe you started your own RAG consulting company. This could be all the keywords coming about RAG and using that to build your own pipeline, right? Because you are a freelancer and you don't have a team, you want to scale yourself. Then beauty of some of the systems is that then you can throw in another agent at the end, which essentially takes all this data, that all the metrics that coming out of this, figures out what's working, what's not working, feed that back to an SEO optimizer. So what you got here is that the group of agents working together as your marketing qualified lead generation team. That not only does the lead generation generate viral content for you, it's actually self-optimizing itself based on the performance. Those are the type of examples and processes companies are building using AI workflows. Now, when I talk about AI agents, it might be a good time now to sort of step back and a little bit understand what do I mean by that. Okay. Now, I gave a glimpse of that already, right? These are intelligence system. But what makes AI agents sort of unique than co-pilots and chatbots are they're mostly autonomous. That means they are designed with sort of goals and parameters, and you just can leave them alone, right? And they do your thing. So it achieves parallelism for you. The system sort of has this whole notion of environment, which could be where I'm running, what is given to me, and figures out when it takes an action, what happens, and collects those observations. Each agent is going to have abilities. Usually abilities are provided by large language model. This could be your your GPT-4, O3, DeepSeek, what have you, Google Gemini. Now, agents, relatively any real agent is going to need access to the tools. These tools allows you to, I'm going to access the vector database. I'm going to call my browser or even run a code interpreter, run my Python code, right? This is what it does. Okay. Now, agents also has to have memory, right? We do that too. When you hire somebody, when I make a mistake under you will tell me, Neil, this is another way to do it. We always run our tests before we submit our code. We always run the style check. So these are sort of things that it takes into observation. It learns from the observation. Maybe you provided feedback. Hey, agent, that was wrong. I should do this. And push that information into the knowledge base. So the next time when it runs, it will recollect that memory. Okay, so it will always have a memory concept. So an anatomy of an agent, the reason I'm going to that is that I'm going to build a case of saying why RAG is becoming very, very important. Okay, I was in a camp a few months back where I thought RAG was dying. I'm being very transparent with you, because I always thought that this model is going to get bigger. This model is going to have a large context window. Why do I need RAG? I can just throw everything to the model, say, here is my whole documentation. Here is my whole book. Here is my whole customer database. Now do this, right? And I'm slowly showing you there that's not the case anymore. And what the stuff that you guys are learning here is so relevant. It's probably the most important thing right now in the market. So anyway, when you sort of double click the agent, sort of unpack, look inside what's inside, you're gonna see a few things in here. The agent's gonna have a bit of a workflow. There is always a trigger that starts this autonomous system. That could be a mail came in, that could be an issue was assigned to an agent, that could be a calendar invite happens, that could be a new trend was Google search trend was generated. Whatever the trigger is, will start the agent. Every agent's going to have two critical things. Obviously, the large language module which provides their AI ability, their abilities, their skills, and a context window. This context window is so important when you're building real-world AI agents. And this is something most of the people don't talk about. When you go into and actively practice this, you'll realize this is what makes an agent a good agent versus bad agent. Okay. This gives your agents a character. This gives your agents his ability to be being reliable. This gives agent to figure out what's the right thing to do, reduce hallucinations. So there is a tremendous benefit of that. Now, there is another competing specifications you guys have heard a lot is called MCP, Model Context Protocol. Now, for agents to do anything real, useful, it has to access tools. Okay. So for an example, if you go back to this example of when I was talking about, this needs to access the Google trend, right? That's an external system, right? The social copywriter tool probably has to access to what's trending on TikTok right now, real-time data, right? So that it can evolve. So every agent needs to have access to some tools. Before MCP, everybody rolled out their own way to integrate tools. Tools in a crude sense is nothing but functions. Okay. So the models have an ability to call functions now. We could say, hey, when this happens, invoke my Python code. Okay. Now, MCP came from Anthropic. They created a standard thing. Since everybody is sort of calling these functions, let's create a standard way so that models can discover these functions, right? So a typical agent could have access to 10 to 15 tools. So how will, so that MCP allows them to standard way to describe these tools so the model can figure out which tool to call, right? And one of this tool could be human in the loop. So for an example, an agent might say, okay, here is a social media, and maybe you want to do this. When it creates a social media content, you probably don't want it to send without reviewing you. You want to see which content you're publishing from your company, right? So there might be another step called human in the loop. Always review with me. So human could be another tool in this toolbox. Okay. So once that whole processing happens, this could go for multiple times, maybe hours. Sometimes agents could be running for days, depending upon what kind of workflow you're automating. So once it's figured it out, it comes at the end, it comes up with some sort of structured response. That could be sending an email out, that could be sending an SMS out, that could be rendering a web page, what have you. The output, the interface of that. That's when the agent ends. It's very important we understand this before we jump into next topic. Any questions so far?
Check the chats. Okay, some people are loving it. Yeah, if you have any question, we have 193 people here. If you have any questions, he said someone is asking if you could elaborate more on MCP tools. That's from Natsnael Gamichu. Yeah, someone is also asking what is MCP, and we also have how is the human factor connected to MCP.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Hi, Nick. There are a lot of
yeah.
questions actually. Do you think we should
we'll do that. We'll do at the end.
Yeah. Because there are a lot
Okay,
of
you want that?
questions.
Okay, yeah, okay, cool.
So you
Glad there
don't
was
get
lots of questions.
interrupted.
There are lots of questions. I'm glad because I tend to go fast because I'm living and breathing this. I'll happy to answer this. Okay, good. I'll come back to this. I promise. Okay.
All right. Thank you. So
yeah, sure.
please, let me please. So drop your questions in the chats. We're taking note of each of them, and Neil will do justice to answer. Thank you.
Okay. So when my experience while building this AI agents, right? One of the things, like I said, I'm being very honest with you guys. I always ignore this fact. Now, most of this are straight up engineering, right? Once you do how to connect MCP server with the tools, it becomes a muscle memory. This is not rocket science. It's super easy. I will explain it. What makes building agents really, really hard? So what I've noticed so far in my experience, it's always easy to go from 0 to 80%. It's very quick. In a couple of hours, you'll have this whole structure set up. There's tons of tutorials out there to do how to set this up. It's no brainer. the last mile, the last 20% of making that agent reliable, stop hallucinating, running evals to make sure that it's going to not go crazy in front of real world customers, right? It's going to reply properly, not hallucinate. All that challenges is the last 20%. That makes it building agents is complicated. It's not trivial. And this context is slowly becoming the most high demand skill for engineers right now. Okay, this includes RAG also, by the way. So you guys are in a good group here. Well, so what is context? Context essentially allows, and prior to this, people used to call this a prompt engineering. You probably heard that term, prompt engineering. Knowing how to craft a prompt is the hottest skill right now. So that sort of evolved into context engineering, which is probably the right term for this. Prompting is still important, but which turns out the models are really getting good at understanding. My prompts are crap. My prompts will have typo. I just said do it, and it sort of figures it out. What makes it really, really hard is to provide this sort of knowledge. Just providing prompt, hey, do this is not enough. You have to combine that with here is an example of what right looks like. Okay, here is when you're generating this response for a customer saying, sorry, unfortunately, we cannot support your product anymore because warranty has expired. Based on this particular contract that you already signed with us, this being specific with a link to the actual contract document so that model can respond to the user is the hardest part. And that comes from knowledge, right? How to provide the context, how to set the background for the agent so it knows exactly how to respond to user queries is a art and science right now. And this is where if I were you right now, this is where I would be spending tons of time to mastering this, because this is sort of an open space, right? The reason for this is it turns out that having 1 million token context window. So let me just quickly define. I'm sort of assuming everybody understands when I say context window. So when you run any model out there, I'm sure some of you, all of you probably have used some sort of LLM before, right? And you send an input through maybe ChatGPT, through Gemini, what have you. Have you ever wondered how much input you can send to a model? There is a limit, right? You just cannot copy the whole book and send it there. That is called context window, the input window that you can send to the model. The model will use that input window to process it to come up with an answer, okay? That input window. So it used to be very small, I think 16,000, then it became 32,000. Now it's 100,000. There are models coming out right now, which is 1 million tokens. So I was under the impression as the context window gets bigger and bigger, we don't have to worry about kind of understanding which knowledge to fit in, right? Fit in, we can send everything. Hey, let's just, it turns out garbage in, garbage out, right? The more stuff you feed into the context window, it starts to have negative effect on the performance of the large language model. I'm talking about the cutting edge models right now, top of the line models. Okay, the problem spans from lost the middle. So usually when you have a large context window, models typically tend to remember the beginning of the context and end of the context and forgets about the middle. That creates lots of hallucination. The second types of problem that comes in is that when you put too much stuff in the context window, the model starts to think, holy shit, I should focus on this and not worry about all the reasoning that I have inside. So then you're essentially dumbing the model down. Model will only follow what's in the context and not worry about what of the reasoning training it has built in. So that's a huge problem. Second thing is that this context window gets corrupted because every time you're calling this tool, remember, I talked about this, right? Every observation that coming in, it's actually getting accumulated in the context, okay? So if it's made a mistake, that mistake is in the context. And if you don't correct it, it will think that mistake was the right thing to do and it will continue to make the same mistake over and over again, for example. Okay. So this is becoming sort of the state of. So the context has this window that you type in has the prompts you send, the commands, hey, do this, do that. Here is an example of what you should do. Here is our manual. Here is our contract. Tool says, here is a set of functions that you can call. If you need to access Google, here is the function you can call to access Google search. If you need to access our AWS account, here is the function to call an AWS account. All this information also gets stuck inside the context. Okay. So as you can see, this is probably the most critical aspect of building AI agents. Now, when we talk about RAG, it turns out the retrieval aspects, and this is the aspect I'm going to focus on mainly, and not the encoding aspect, which is important, but for my discussion is not that relevant. So when you have tons of information that you want your agent to access, not only that, only figure out what specific section of that knowledge is relevant to the given query, you need to build a retrieval mechanism, right? You sort of have to have every agent sort of has a retrieval aspect. What I'm trying to say is that every agent in medium to high complexity will always have a RAG implemented behind the scene. And the job of that RAG is essentially whenever the query comes in, it goes to that long-term memory, which is all the data that you want to feed into the agent, take the relevant aspect out of that, feeds into the context window. So when the agent actually invokes the model with here is the user query, and please, for this query, here is the relevant context, it becomes super, super important so that you can come back with the appropriate results. Okay. Now that includes context summarizations. For an example, if the agent is running for hours and hours, this context is accumulated, you can implement logics like take this context, dump it to a knowledge base so that you can summarize it, sort of shrinking the context over and over again, okay, so that you don't run out of the space. Another aspect is RAG MCP. This is sort of becoming very, very interesting too. For an example, when you work with tools, this also used to be my misconception. Oh, I have a large context window. That means I can feed in lots of tools. And it might sound silly, but you might end up building an agent which might get access to 15, 20 tools. Okay. Now, again, it turns out in real world, when you have many tools, agents model gets really confused which tool to invoke. Okay. And remember, MCP, there's a struggle with MCP too. MCPs are built by third parties. So you don't necessarily have control over I'm giving you some real world kind of barn experience I have building agents here. When you use multiple MCP servers, they'll be built by third-party providers. They might have conflicting description. You might have two tools might say similar thing. Then model gets confused which one to use. So RAG MCP is becoming a very interesting take on that. What you're doing is that you're taking all this tools description, all the description of functions, putting into your vector store and building RAG on top of that, saying for this particular query, what tools make sense and only include subset of tools. I would love to see that by end of this program. Maybe it should be one of the hackathon project. I would love to work with you too. If anybody's interested, building a RAG MCP, library or package, it would be awesome project to work on. There's a huge need for this. So RAG on MCP, that means a subset of tools get loaded into the context window. Then model is not confused. Instead of looking through 15 or 20 different tools, which one to invoke, model only have to pick from 5. Okay. Now, obviously, this is, I feel like, the most realistic version of what typically complicated agents going to look like. So this is a version of agentic RAG, right? Where a query comes in and agent accesses multiple vector stores to figure out what kind of relevant context I need to pull in. And then it has access to these two tools, calculator and web search. These are tools, okay? So this is sort of typical architecture. So when people keep saying agentic RAG, in my opinion, I mean, every agent at some point of time will have to implement RAG anyway. So all agents are RAG agents, sort of way. Okay. All right. So
yes,
now,
yes. Yeah, we're following you. We're with you.
Okay, cool, good. Sorry, I'm going nonstop 50 minutes. So I wanted to kind of step back and sort of show you all this ideas into an action. Like, is this all looks good on paper? Does this thing really work? Right. So this is Tublian's next product that we're working on. It's called AgentLink. The goal of this is that think of this as a LinkedIn for AI agents, a place where anyone can come in, or another way to think of this is an Upwork for AI agents, a place where anyone can come in and hire an AI agent on demand to do their work. Okay. So the way the infrastructure is, this is my idea of building the infrastructure for AI labor economy. What does that looks like? So in our platform, we have this curated catalog of AI agents that are designed to solve specific user problems. Could be backend operations, could be finance, could be accounting, where users can come in and use them, hire, like one-click hire. They don't have to worry about infrastructure. They don't have to worry about cloud, nothing. They just pay for what they use. On the other hand, this is where you guys come in, and some of this might shape up at the end when we do the capstone project, is an agent build kit where builders can come in and freelancers are coming. Like I said, we heavily work with freelancers. And I see down the line, freelancers going to build their own AI agents to sort of encode their expertise into AI agents as a way to make a passive income. So we are building sort of agent kit for them, so they can come in, say, I'm a creative writer. I'm going to use my technique, take my techniques and skills that I've learned and encode that into AI agent and deploy in the marketplace. So people can also hire me, can also hire my AI agents for cheaper price, if that makes sense. So that's essentially what we're building. We are planning to launch this next week. So quick fun demo here. Next month, sorry. This is what it looks like. How can I get rid of this line? I don't know. Okay, never mind. So this is what it looks like. So sort of a marketplace, like I said, Upwork, where each of this card is an AI agent built by very different companies. There you go, one more line. Who's drawing lines on my screen? So each of this agent is sort of has a profile page. Okay, and this is sort of like a LinkedIn. Hey, I'm a buffer agent. This is what I do. This is all my skills. And each agent provides task specification. We use A2A protocol to do that. That means it doesn't matter who implemented the agent. A2A provides an ability to have every agent to have a business card. So like a sort of think of it as a business card. We'll say, hey, this is me. This is what I can do. Here is how you can call me. Okay. Instead of phone number, they will have a URL. So we suck in that information and generate this page on the fly. And what we have done on top of that is, which totally makes sense, is that we have performance metrics. So like you get 5 stars at Upwork, here you get real performance metrics. Is that how many tasks get completed? What the success rate looks like? And this is where the monetization piece comes in. Whoever built this agent can set their pricing, and the pricing will be what we do is that we sit in like a centralized exchange sort of thing. As the users are using this, we transfer that revenue to that whoever created that agent, the author of the agent, in this case, Buffer. Okay. So what we have done with this is, again, I'm sort of pushing boundaries here, right? So what users can do is that they can create their own teams now. And these teams will be nothing but collection of AI agents. So this is my social media team. I have a buffer agent and viral post agent, okay? What we have figured out is that we're building this sort of orchestration layer, and it's totally possible to do that right now, where users can take all these agents, can combine them like a Lego blocks. Okay, so that you can create this themes on demand. So what I mean by that is the person who created buffer agent has no idea that his or her agent going to be used by this viral post agent, for that example. Okay, so what you can do now is that you can publish an agent. I have it running locally here. So I created this new strength agent. This agent is new. That's why we don't have any performance metrics. What this agent does is this agent goes out and accesses the latest news channels and figure out new strengths for you. So what my goal is that my social media team, I want my social media team to help me create interesting posts every day. And I don't have time to do research, and I want agents to do that for me, okay? So users can easily come in and say, I want to hire this, and they can figure out which team to add to, and they can just add, okay? So now if I go to social media team, you'll see instead of 2, I have 3 agents, okay? Now, so interface is quite simple. Now I'm sort of a manager. I want to drive this team now. I'm going to provide an instruction. So this is a live demo. Let's see what happens. Find latest trends on blockchains. Has to be a huge blockchain guy. Blockchain. create post for LinkedIn and publish. So so what we are trying to do here is that we essentially building this orchestration layer that on demand sort of figuring out the capability of the team. What capabilities do I have? And organize those team members in that order. So it's all dynamic, which is classic example of an agentic feature. All right, I'll let it run for a while, then I switch back to this so that we can save time. We'll come back to this, I promise. And I would love to hear feedback from you guys too about this tool. So this is sort of my last slide to sort of summarize, right? We went from the general idea is this labor is becoming the scalable sort of resource to how that is forming into this AI workforce or agentic workforce to give you a concrete example of what a marketplace of AI agents looks like. So three key takeaway point for you guys to just remember, intelligence is now an API, which is just crazy to think through. And so there is a huge oversupply. There's going to be oversupply of utilities. The intelligence are everywhere. Then the value shifts to orchestration. That means how you build this agent, how you are managing, how you invoking this API, composing the API to build an useful software. That's where the value is, and that's where the opportunities are. Agents are team now, right? They're autonomous. They have memory. They can access internet. They can do all sorts of stuff. They're becoming co-workers. And the limiting factor is not compute anymore, right? I mean, and it's not location, it's not limitations where we are. If you're not in Silicon Valley, you cannot build startups anymore. Those are not true anymore, right? So your limitations is your creativity. And I would encourage everybody here to stay back. I mean, if you're thinking I'm going to build a business which will earn me $1 million or $10 million, you're thinking small, think big. Whatever you're thinking right now, multiply that by 100. That's where the opportunity is. Thank you very much. We'll see what's happening here. Oh, it got stuck. Let's try again. Is my server running? All right, any questions so far?
Yeah, we have a lot of questions in chats.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
All right, let me start the demo once more time. I have a demo video. I will send that out to. I was working on this, probably I broke something in the morning. So apologies. Find the latest blockchain research. Yes, LinkedIn posts and publish. All right, I'm happy to take questions while this is running.
Okay, so let me start with, so someone's asking, can someone learn this in 1 week and become perfect in building agents? You
No.
know, so, okay. All right. So another question.
1 week. 1 week is just such a short time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another question goes, what is the purpose of blockchain in these agents?
Oh, I definitely broke something here. No. So what I was trying to do here is that so I created my team here, right? The team is my social media team. These are a collection of AI agents working together. So think of this, I've hired these freelancers to do my work. So I'm giving them a task now. My task is to find. Okay, someone is having fun. So my task for this guys, these agents are to, hey, go figure out what is latest happening in the blockchain and help me create LinkedIn posts for that. It's just a task. It's nothing to do with blockchain. I could have said, find latest viral trend, find latest sports news, and create a post. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so another question goes, how can we keep an AI from hallucinating when there are billions of contexts for every single query? I mean, everyone has a different need and answer they want. You want me to go over it
Yeah.
again?
So
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I did refer to that, and that's a great question, and this is something that I sort of mentioned here with retrieval, right? So let me repeat that again. I think it's worth repeating. So you're right. The size of the context window is obviously getting big. There is millions of tokens out there. The problem is you cannot do that. I mean, I guess you can technically, but that will not work. Your model will continue to hallucinate. The challenge is to provide the right context. Okay, the right context, and the right essentially varies based on what user is looking for. Okay, so that's why my proposal is to do something like this. When a query come in, have they okay, when a query come in, if you don't know this, you're going to learn throughout this bootcamp, I believe, is you're going to go to your knowledge base. Let's say you have this millions of tokens. You will take those millions of tokens and save it somewhere else. You don't feed it to the model. You save it your own storage somewhere. Then what you do as a technique is that when user sends a query saying, hey, what contract says about my vacation policy for the company, let's say? What is my HR policy on taking a early break or this and that? So instead of feeding the whole HR policy to an AI agent, what you're going to do is take that query, go to some sort of vector storage, and find only that relevant paragraph, relevant page that matters to that query. You will take that page, which is called essentially retrieval. You feed that page to the context. So now to the model, the context is that one pager that talks about that weekend early taking off policy and your user query. Then if there is a less chance for model to hallucinate and give wrong answer. And that changes per user query. So even if you have different users coming with different type of requests, this context changes based on the query. If that makes sense?
Yeah. Hello? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
The person is responding, yes. So let's go to another question. So someone said, how is the human factor connected to MCP?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Thanks. So Okay, I'm thinking how technical I should be. Okay, I'm going to give you a technical answer. If that doesn't work, I'm going to create an abstractions on top of that. Okay. So technically, when you creating a prompt and asking a model to do something, okay, um, you part of the prompt, you specify a set of functions. It's like a JSON file that you specify um, to say, here is a function foo, it does this. Here is a function bar, which does that. Okay. And you send it to that. So this context, if you unpack this context, let me go to this, unpack this context is going to have your instructions, whatever prompt the user provided. It's going to have some background. Hey, you are HR agents for XYZ company. Your responsibility to do that, all that, your system prompt. And then you have a JSON payload of all the functions that this model can, all part of this context window. Okay, and you send it. Okay. And then the model sort of figures out based on the model knows how to do this. It's part of a standard specification. It's called function calling, and it calls that. What MCP does is MCP sort of creates an abstraction layer, standardize that. Like how should you provide specification, and how should you do in case the tool is not running locally, tool is in somewhere else. So for an example, let's say you're building a shopping agent. That nobody mentioned that actually, that'd be cool. That you give an instruction to, it'll be fun to build if anyone wants to do that. We always have this list, right? I want to buy a book. I'm looking for the T-shirt. I'm to buy that ticket. But have that agent that always scans the marketplaces and figures out and notifies you whenever there is a price stop. So you can time it exactly when it's the cheapest, right? For an example. If you're building some agent like that, that agent needs to have one functionality. What is that functionality? It needs to have a couple of functionality. One functionality is it needs to have a mechanism of buying something. That means it needs to have access to a credit card or Stripe, right? So that's one tool. Another tool in this case is needed is before it purchases, it should verify with you, saying that that should I go ahead, Neil, should I go ahead? This is $5 now. It's the cheapest I've seen in last 1 month. And you will say yes. So that becomes a human in the loop. In both of these cases, these functions are not running locally. These functions could be, the way it will communicate with me is by sending an email or SMS text. Way it's going to get the credit card information is talking to some bank, which will have their MCP server running completely in a different location. So, so the MCP provides a standard protocol to access this over HTTP and server-sent events. So it just makes it easier to invoke tools. Did I answer your question? If not, please ask me a follow-up question.
Okay. Neil, I would like to ask, how much time do you have left? How much time can you spare?
5 more minutes. Oh, yeah, sorry. Can I go back to my demo? Sorry, I forgot about that. So when I said LinkedIn post, I remember I never said when to post it. So it's asking, that's great. I've created the concept. When do you like to post it? So what this is doing, this is called now sort of generative UI, right? There is a huge spec going on also called MCP UI. So this UI elements are generated on the fly based on the requirements. So I'm specifying date so that I can take a user input. This is the classic, right? You give work to a team. One team member came back to you saying, sir, you forgot to mention when should we finish this? So it's a sort of taking that input back. Sorry, go ahead. 5 more minutes, please.
All right. Let me ask the most recent one. So it says, how does the takeover work? Does it only return the post content, or does it actually access the account and publish it? For the login process, will
Oh, good demo question. Yeah. I love that. Thank you. So in this case, it actually does. There is lots of stuff for this demo. I kind of hard coded, so it already have access to my LinkedIn. That's why it's doing that. In the real world, what we really want to do is, in cases like this, it's going to ask for auth for LinkedIn. So it will actually give you permission. there is in my prompt, I didn't say review the content with me. That's why it didn't. If I said, hey, generate this post and review with me before publishing, it would have showed me a couple of posts that it's actually created. So it's all dynamic.
All right. I think that would be all. Someone asked, what do you think? Will AI reach the level of AGI in the next 10 years? And someone also
10 years,
said,
yes.
okay. Then someone also said, you said something about tools. How does the model access tools?
OpenAI function calling. I mentioned a few times, but I get see how this is a good example. I'm showing a Python code. I'm assuming some of you know this. So in this code, I'm using OpenAI's chat, no framework. This is like a raw API call, no LangChain, nothing sort of here. So when I'm calling this chat, I'm providing my role. I'm saying, what is the weather in Paris today? Obviously, model doesn't know what weather in Paris because it doesn't have access. Its training data is like 2 months old, right? So I'm providing this thing called tools. This is what tools array looks like. It's saying in the tools, the type is function. I don't know if there is any other types. I think the only thing you can allow here is a function. And this is what the function is called get weather. And this weather, this is a description. This description is important because this is a description that the model uses to figure out which function to call. So when you ask this is what happens. Hypothetically, this is what happens. What is the weather in Paris today? Today, I have no idea what's the Paris weather today. Do I have anything in my context that I can use to answer this question? The model will say, okay, yeah, I have. Sorry, I'm animating. Oh, yes, I have it. I have a tool in my context that I can use. It's called get weather. And it says that it can give current temperature or give a location. Great. Let me see how, what do I need to call this function? Oh, it says parameter is just an object, which is a location. Do I have a location? And it gives an example what that location is. A city, country. Oh, you have a location. Location is Paris. So model will invoke this get weather function by passing Paris as a parameter. And it will take the response and show you the response back. That's how model invokes tools.
All right. Thank you so much, Neil. That would be all the questions for
Okay.
now. A lot of people
Okay.
have been asking for a link to your slides, and I don't know, maybe you want to drop that in the chat, or you send it to me and then we'll share
Oh,
it with
I will send it
everyone.
to you.
All right.
Here is if you want to stay in touch with me, I'll share a couple of things in here. Obviously, this is chat disabled. I cannot put
Okay,
anything
okay,
there.
okay. Oh, hold up. Hold on a minute. Yeah. So what will also happen is we usually send emails after after every session, after every
Yeah.
meeting that we have. So in the emails, I'll attach your LinkedIn for those that want to reach out to you. A link to Tublian, also a link
Okay.
to your slides as well for those that might,
Okay.
So please, could
Okay.
you also
Cool.
post the link to your slides in the chat as well, for some people that.
I don't have. I need to PDF this and send it to you.
All right, all right, all right, no problem then. All right, thank you so much. I will leave it to Ifeanyi to handle the rest of for the rest
Okay.
of the.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
Sorry. I hope that
Thank
was
you.
helpful. I was all over the place, but I had fun.
No,
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
fantastic.
it
It was
was.
fantastic. Thank you so
All right.
much
Thank you.
for coming to talk to us. We really, really appreciate your time. And yeah, we're really excited, the capstone project that's coming up. I've learned so much and I'm excited, to even get to use your platform to even do more. So this is thank you from everyone at NSK AI. Thank you from everyone that's participated. Like you really, really shed a lot of light for us, and we're really looking forward to having more sessions with you and also building with you because I know you're working on some things and I'm personally keen on working with you on some things. I know you mentioned some things, so definitely we'll keep in touch. Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Okay.
All right.
Hi, Neil. Do you want
You're
to talk
muted.
about Tublian quickly? I think you're muted as well. You're muted. You're muted.
You can't unmute.
You can't unmute.
And now I can. Now I can.
All
Now
right.
I can.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
So to yeah, I mean, I didn't even talk about Tublian. So
It happens.
so the AgentLink is sort of a next phase of that. So when I was dabbling at the, so we Tublian is a community, right? We have around 15,000 software developers. Now we have freelancers. So my project was essentially started as a passion project to help people out. Okay, so I dropped out. I self-taught myself as a programming. I'm struggled to a lot of things to get where I am right now. So Tublian was a project to sort of package that learning and deliver to everyone so everybody can do that. Okay. Then when AI came along, I'm just giving you a story that sort of will make sense. When AI came along, I had a kind of an existential crisis a little bit because one hand I've been hearing nobody's going to need software developers anymore. We're going to replace them with AI. And I had this emerging group of developers that looking at us and saying, what should we do? So we had to quickly figure it out that is to sort of get into this point of saying this is just a tool. And this is a tool in our toolbox. And we have to creatively figure out how we can use this tool to scale ourselves because the challenge is going to be scaling right now. As the demand goes up, you need to scale. So another challenge we had was that the cost of software is going down means we're going to make less money as an engineer. Right? I have done well in the past when I had a full-time job, but now there is huge layoffs happening and the salaries are shrinking. So that's another crisis that we need to answer. So the answer to both of them turns out to be scale. So if I can't make enough money doing one project, what if I can do 10 projects at the same time? That way I can meet my requirements. I can support my family and all that. So that gave this Tublian 2.0 version, which is we essentially building an operating system for freelancers. So allow everybody to operate like an agency, one person, because I believe in the future where one person company can make $1 billion business, one person. And that's totally possible. That means I will have minions and a group of AI agents behind me working for me, right? And agents building software, agents doing sales for me. So that's what we do. So Tublian is a place where we help freelancers, which some point everybody going to become freelancers the way market is evolving. We help them to start, build, and scale their freelancing business. Okay. And this operating system is nothing but collection of AI agents. That's why I'm so close to this topic. So we have, if you go to tublian.com, and let me paste that link here. And, you can find those more information about this project. Yes, that's it.
all right.
All right, cool.
Thank you so much.
I gotta jump here. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
No
Thank you.
problem. No problem. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Neil. Thank you everyone for staying up to this moment. And in the spirit of AI, RAG, what does RAG mean again? If I could you help?
What is RAG? What?
Because
What is
help? What
what
does
does RAG
RAG mean
mean?
again?
Retrieval
What does
Augmented
RAG mean?
Generation. Retrieval Augmented
Yeah,
Generation.
retrieval,
Retrieval Augmented
retrieval augmented. Okay, that's a
Generation.
mouthful. That's a mouthful. So I'm just gonna say it's RAG, right? So in the spirit of
Uh-huh.
RAG, I'll be given an AI generated closing speech. And one of the beautiful things about RAG that I read is RAG if you give it the proper context is going to give it an appropriate result. So I've given my ChatGPT very good context and let's see what it came up with. So I'm going to read. Um, what a powerful way to kick off the AI bootcamp, right? Huge thank you to Neil for that insightful keynote on how AI is reshaping the labor economy and empowering individuals to take charge of their future. I hope you all are walking away with fresh ideas, new energy, and a clearer picture of the possibilities of AI, especially for freelancers, entrepreneurs, and builders like many of you are or will be. A few quick reminders before we wrap up. The session recording will be shared shortly in the announcement channel. We'd love your feedback. A short form will be posted right after this. The next session continues at the same time, so stay plugged in and check the pinned schedule for details. Also, join our Discord channel. If you're not on the Discord channel, this is not AI, this is me talking. If you're not on Discord, if you're not on the Discord channel, you are missing all information are being passed there. Team formation is currently ongoing in the Discord channel. Teams are already creating a thread to discuss possibilities. In time to come, we'll be rolling out what the plan for these teams are. So if you're not in a team yet, get something. Back to my AI. And finally, don't forget to keep the conversation going on in the Discord server. Share your thoughts, insights, and of course, your AI assistant names from the icebreakers. Thank you all for showing up, learning, and building with us. See you in our next session, same time, same
Love it.
energy. Would you like a shortened version for this slide or a Discord post too? Thank you,
Discord,
everyone.
Discord.
See you next time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Discord.
Ralph, don't forget, like, people should talk about the experiences on the LinkedIn and Twitter. Let them, like, document
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
this
yeah,
part.
yeah.
Share your experience.
Go on LinkedIn. Go on LinkedIn, go on Twitter. You can tag Neil, you can tag Ifine, you can tag any one of us. Want to see your LinkedIn post, want to see your Twitter post, want to see on Facebook post as well. And if possible, any other social media that out there.
You can find us on
TikTok,
Twitter.
TikTok.
Yes,
I'm on
yes,
TikTok.
exactly on
Yeah.
TikTok. Tell the world what's going on, share with your friends, share with family, share with colleagues. Yeah. Um,
Share what you learned as well.
yeah. Take care. Take care. Take
Thank
care.
you so
Peace.
much. Thank you so much,
All
everyone.
right, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.